One of the things I've seen a lot around this conversation of AI is this term like signals. Like signals is coming in and data enrichment, and now we can make outbound way more personalized and actually useful for people. And if you look at your inbox, it's now just become a sea of people saying like, hey, I saw you post about this, or like this recent episode that you did with Daryl, it resonated with me. Like it's all the same fucking templates. Like everyone's doing the same thing. What are your thoughts on this like buzzword of like signals? Like, is it just like a rebrand of lead scoring with a trendier label? Like lead scoring has been around like forever. Like we're both Daryl and I are in marketing operations, and like tracking engagement attributes, demographics, firmographics, product interactions. Like some folks have said that the difference between signals and lead scoring is like a form factor thing, that like signals is a white box and lead scoring is more black box. But, you know, I've built plenty of transparent lead scoring models that, you know, reps could see what led to a certain score. Other folks say that like lead scoring is good for segmenting your book of business. Just curious your take on that.
I mean, in general, yeah, I think it's an evolution of lead scoring. It's, some parts the same, some parts different. I think the internet in general has made it easier to access a wider amount of signals about a potential buyer. And I also say that as someone who's like, I'm pushing this go to network thing. So like, I'm aware like, listen, if you work in B2B and you're not making up a term, you're probably shit at your job.
What are you doing?
Like, that's part of what you're supposed to do. Like if you're not making a due term, are you really in B2B marketing? Probably not. But in general, like you just said, right? It's like, let's say 2 years ago, before everybody was doing the, hey, I saw you like this post on LinkedIn play, that might have worked really well. Now everybody can do it at a click of a button. So it becomes spam, right? So it's like, is outbound spam? It almost never starts as spam, but it almost always evolves into spam. And I think the problem is outbound works really well if you are willing and able to be at that cutting edge of like, what is the new thing? What is unique? But if you're the follower and you're always like following after the fact, you're always going to be the shitty copy who is like doing, it's like anything, you get these templates where you can kind of feel like this, like I get all the time. I get that, hey, I saw you liked Phil's post on LinkedIn. Like, I'm like, that's just because I think Phil's cool and I'm supporting him. That does not mean I want to buy what Phil's talking about, right? Like, what do you mean? So I think this, just like outbound, there's ways to use them well. I think I know a lot of teams that use signals really well to actually cut down on the amount of outbound they're doing. So they're doing smarter outbound. I do think it's a bit of I think it's hilarious that people have started calling it warm outbound. It's like, just because I visited your website does not make it warm, but sure, maybe it's a nuanced thing. But yeah, I think it's another tool in a sales and a marketing team's stack, and it can be used well, it can be used poorly. We've used it to great success, but it's one of those things as well where I think if you over automate it and over systematize it, you end up like back at this level of it not working. And at the end of the day, I think people are so obsessed with writing better messages with AI and personalizing better with AI. And I just don't think that actually matters. If I look at where I've bought things over the last 2 years, it's almost never from a personalized message or a signal-based message.
Yeah.
It's all about relevance. If you message me a really shitty templated email, but you're selling me a thing that I'm currently thinking about, I'll probably respond. And I've gotten emails and outreach where it's like they have done their research. They have written the perfect one-to-one email for Mac. It references dinosaurs. They've clearly done their research. Like it's so good, but they're selling me something that just doesn't matter to me. And it doesn't matter. Like people are so obsessed with better messaging. All that matters is relevance. So I think using signals to drive better relevance in your messaging, timing of your messaging is great. Using it to do better personalization is pointless.
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts on this, and I think you're right on. I think one of the challenges is that, to be honest, like no one really wants to receive outbound, and people only want to buy when they're ready or something that they're really looking for in the moment. But the challenge is you have sales and marketing teams that have to do like something, they have to like try to get business somehow. So like my theory is the intent data and all of the rise of intent data and signals, it's kind of like a little bit better than nothing. is what is my first take. And the second one is like why it kind of keeps working is because at any given moment, there is actually maybe 1 or 2 people out of 100 that you're going to get lucky. And they're going to be like, oh, shoot, I do need that random SaaS software. You know? Oh my God,
Yeah.
this is amazing. You reached at the perfect time. But it's like just 2 people out of the 100. And so what we've been talking about is people just kind of keep going. They're like, oh, we reached 2 people out of 100. We're going to reach 20 people out of 1,000. We're going to,
and that
and
works,
it's just
right?
ruining
If
everybody's
if your
experience.
TAM is
but
tens of thousands,
Yeah.
great. What if you have 5,000 possible buyers? Even 10, like you're going to go through that list real fast.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I feel like the age-old argument for cold outreach, oftentimes compared to like paid ads, is like, hey, cold outreach is free. It's free to email people. Like, yeah, maybe we bought a list, or like, oh, we scraped this list of emails, or now we're on InMail. It's free. Like, it doesn't cost anything compared to meta ads and whatever. But anyone who is in marketing ops, wears the email hat, knows that there is a big internal and reputational cost to cold outreach and email deliverability. And like, we don't have to get into that whole box there